huge gamble getting Luke McCowan a couple of years and a huge gamble getting fucking Liam Scales 4 year.
I,
That's why I'm for my sanity, Corey. For my sanity, I've got to go down the road of there's a manager there saying aye. I cannot think outside the box. Actually, if I thought like you, man, I'd go insane because I just cannot think that makes any logical sense.
cheers, mate.
I just can't get it in my head, mate, how it makes any logical sense. I know what you're saying, but even what you're saying, right, it still doesn't outweigh the madness of
But
that if that was the
I know.
case. You
The
know.
thing is, have like poster boys like, oh look at Liam Scales, he's Irish, or he played in Shamrock Rovers and all that. Oh fucking basically Celtic over in Ireland. Now he's came over here and played with us. Oh how great is this? Oh look McCown, he was fucking in the lower leagues and all that, and he's finally got his dream move to Celtic. How good's that? They always try to find something in the market. It's the same with Kieran Tierney. They market him as one of the poster boys as well. Oh, he went down in the bright lights of London, now he's all the way back up to Glasgow. It doesn't work. It doesn't necessarily work.
Went through each jungle deep for the paradise that we to see. There's no trip for the weak. We're waltzing with the natives. Na 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 na.
Hello, people. Welcome back to the Celtic Corner, which is another crucial weekend regarding Celtic. Corey, how are we feeling about this weekend, mate? How are you doing?
No too sure still. I think it's just squeaky bum time, the old phrase is, and it's every game it's a must win. Must win. We've got 4 cup finals and an actual cup final at the end of it. So aye. It's stressful, but aye. That's all I can say.
No, I know what you mean, man. It is stressful, but I mean, all week, mate, it's just kind of just trying to get through work and trying to get through the days and stuff like that, and in anticipation for the game on Sunday. To be honest, that is just basically how my life is living right now. It's just all about the next fucking Celtic game over the next 4, it's not even 4 weeks. It's like it's going to spread into like 3 weeks, isn't it? So, it's going to be interesting, mate. But first and foremost, right? So we will be up first because Rangers play Hearts on Monday. So, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that will benefit Celtic on Sunday?
I think now because we got the win last week, I think so. I think that game on Monday's crucial, one way or another, where the title's going to go. If Hearts win, Rangers are completely out it. If Rangers win, they're right back in it and we're back on the chase, for second at least. But I don't know. I'm still not confident about us not dropping any points. I'm still not 100%. I think we've improved. Last weekend we looked a lot better in spells. I know that you said that before, and but it needs to be 90 minutes. It's the whole not 90 minutes performance. We haven't had a poor clear cut performance yet. We've been saying it for weeks. We've been saying it since this started. I've been saying it before that. We need a very convincing game and win. And I hope it's against Hibs because they've not got much to play for. Maybe just cementing a certain place. Maybe if certain results go their way, maybe they can go out a bit higher. But they don't really have much to play for. And hopefully, they do lie down to us.
Nah, I can't see anybody lying down at this point, to be honest with you. I know that it's kind of getting joked about and people saying
Aye.
stuff like that, but I mean, if Hibs
Some
was going to
people
try
take
and.
it sorry, but there's some people that's taking it proper seriously. Like, oh, they will, because look at them. When do they ever get a result against Celtic and all that stuff? I'm like, they've had results against us before, like recently, very recently. They beat us at Parkhead. So I'm like, it's not like a gimme. Some people are just convinced because we're playing green and we've got some sort of affiliation in the island that we're going to be brothers like across the M8 type of thing, and I can just we'll do this and we'll help you out and all that. Fucking what a nonsense, man.
I have to laugh when I hear things like that, but so, like try and picture this, you know what I mean? On Sunday, David Gray sitting in his team talk with guys who are for England, who are for fucking Australia, who are for all over the world and that, and going, right, boys, I know that we've got 4 games to go here and that, and, but we don't really want Hearts to win the league, do we? So just go out there and kind of just stroll about, boys. Don't worry about it, you know what I mean? It'll just be one of these things and that, you know. I'll not be harsh on you if you give the ball away or if, you know, you tackle at a position or you do something stupid. Don't worry, you'll still be in the team next week, guys, you know what I mean? You don't need to worry about this. I mean, come on.
It's ridiculous. It's like professional pride and all. The people are like, oh, I know I said that they don't have much to play for, but in their head, they're like, it's still a big game. They're still playing one, if not the biggest club in the country. You go out there and perform. So I'm expecting a hard game. If it turns out it's an easy game, then I would just take that as Celtic were better in the day. Nothing like this, oh, we were lying down. Is that you trying to get the adverts in?
How?
Just because you were thinking that and you seen the logo a wee bit. Look.
Did you see the logo? Did you?
Just a wee
Try to drink out of that camera now.
But I expect a hard game and all that nonsense about lying down. I've heard people say, "Oh, would you like it? Would you do it in the end of the season against Hearts if it was a chance of Rangers winning the league?" I'm like, no, I would still want Celtic to win. I would take the fact that if we won, the Rangers won the league, but you still want your team to win. So I think there's a lot of shite.
Again, it's just the one Martin O'Neill's makeup to sit there on the last day of the season and right, boys, you know, just leave it, man. I'm not really bothered. It's my last game and that, but nah, it's ridiculous, man. It should even enter anybody's head, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean. If it's gone like that on the park and it suits both teams, and they might just kind of take their foot off the gas like naturally, but it will not be a plan to go out there and just fucking no care for like no Hibs. But I'm talking about the last game of the season, but this weekend Hibs will be up for it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, Hibs will still be raging after getting beat after rivals at the weekend there and all that. So they'll be out for a bit of kind of redemption this weekend, I think. And I'm more worried about the game, I really am. But, you know, we did speak about last week how Celtic were good in certain parts of the match and, you know, they played well. Dies Maida was really good and all that kind of stuff. So last week we started with Forrest, we started with Yang, we started with Maida through the middle. How do you think the front three is going to be this weekend?
I'm always in the mindset if it's not broke, don't fix it. The only difference I would make is Yang on the left. I didn't think it worked. No, sorry, Forrest on the left, because I didn't think Yang in the left was any sort of threat. He didn't look comfortable there. But I can still see Martin changing it up. It could be Maeda on the left and it could be Ian Nacho up front or Sven Chara. I know we don't want that, but I wouldn't be surprised either if he decided to change it up and put a bigger striker up there and try to hold up the play. I know he's not good at all that, but Martin does change it up every now and then because, like you said last weekend, you were surprised that Forrest even started the game. So I think that's what he likes. He likes to keep the opposition on their toes. So if I was Martin O'Neill, I would stick to what it was last weekend because I thought it worked. It worked well, but I'm not the man in charge.
He does like to change it up, mate, but I just do feel I'd feel better if we knew our 11, we knew what was going to be happening here. Because I've got a feeling he might change it up again. I've got a feeling he might go to Necti. And he might go Yang on the right again and Maida through the middle. But I mean, who knows? He could literally play anybody in there. But I think that's where Hearts might have the slight advantage going into these 4 games. I could tell you Hearts are 11 right now. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. It's a good thing for them. We know exactly who's going to start on for them. I would imagine. Rangers maybe in the same boat as us, but I mean, aye, it's exciting. But I think we can get at the fullbacks in that. I think there is kind of room and space for us to change things about in that. And aye, so. But what about the rest? What about the rest of the part? What about the midfield and that?
That's what I was just sorry. I was just before I interrupted you. I was just going to say 100%. I would keep Engels in that midfield. I think he brought a lot of stability. He helped out McGregor when needs be. He was going on runs. He was getting these second balls, and he was going in for tackles. It was just a bit of solidness in that midfield, which has been lacking for a good while. And I didn't think Gingles was the man to kind of be the answer, but it does seem that way because that game last week he looked really good. I would start him, McGregor, and Nygren just for the sheer fact that he might get a goal. I mean, I'm being critical that he doesn't do much else, but he's scoring goals, so I can't really complain. And we need them as much of them as possible as well. What about yourself?
No, same, mate. You know, see, your Nygren point, I've actually been thinking about this because he's not been entered into the player of the year and that. And there's been talking. Somebody sent me something the other day about Nygren possibly moving on. I can't remember who it was. Was it you or was it my mate's group, to other mate's group chat or whatever? Can't remember what it was, but somebody had sent me on a link that, you know, Nygren has been sought after. And it's made me really think. I think it's in the same. I hate to talk about Rangers, right? But it's just made me think, like, loads of people are going on about how Rangers are going to miss Tavernier when he moves on, and it will not be until he moves on that, you know, people will miss him. I think we're in a similar boat here with Nygren. I know he's only been here 1 year, but I think Nygren offers a lot more than what people think. I really do. I mean, I know that he doesn't get involved in the game all the time and stuff like that, but I reckon without him, we are going to really struggle. I think we're going to notice it. I think it'll be, oh, that's what he done. You know what I mean? And it isn't just the goals I'm talking about. I think he stretches defences and that as well. You know, his movement and stuff. He's not got the most flair in the world, and he'll no kind of zip, you know, pass by people, or he doesn't play like amazing balls either. But what he does is he gets defences moving and stuff, and he makes them think. And I just think that Benjamin Nygren is a wee bit underappreciated by us.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think it's just, see, when people say, oh, the Celtic way of playing and all that, I just expect their midfielders to be pressing all over the pitch.
Oh.
And Nygren doesn't really do that as much, and I don't. That's not a bad thing because not everybody can press as much as like Maeda or even McGregor to an extent. So I'm like, it's not really it's not really like a dig at him, but it's just like that's what I expect of these certain like players. I get that his
But
goal contribution, his assists and all that, unbelievable for a first season. But I just feel like there's more that he needs to kind of unleash in a way. But I don't know if he's actually got it in his locker, if you know what I mean.
then, you know, you look at a guy like Tom Rogic. With Tom
Yeah.
Rogic, you know, did he influence games more than Benjamin Nygren? As in, he scored lovely goals like Nygren, but did he? Did he? You know, but yet we seem to love him. You know what I mean? We seem to love Tom Rogic, and we were emotional when he left and all this. And this is a guy that can he play 50 minutes of a game? You know what I mean?
But
And
when Rogic got the ball, sometimes he did go on a wee run. It wasn't like a fast run, it was like a Paddy McCourt type run. But he was able to go through the defenders, and some of his passing was lovely. And that's what I mean, it's just they wee tiny things. Like you even said that Nygren doesn't zip past the defenders, he doesn't do amazing passing. It's just they wee things. Like if he's passing like on Sunday was out of this world, and he was doing me jaunty runs with the ball, I would appreciate that a wee bit more because that's what I just expect from a Celtic attacking midfielder in a way. And I do get what you're saying, like they're underappreciated because he scored so many goals, he's assisted so many goals. But at the same time, it's just kind of going the runs. But that's what I mean. I don't know if he's got that in his locker because it doesn't seem like he's got a lot of pace. And I'm just like he does do some good passes, and that's what I'm saying. He's a bit an enigma because I think he's good, but on the other hand, I'm like, no, he's really poor at this.
I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, mate, when you said that's what I expect for like a midfielder and stuff. And we spoke about this the other week, and I'd mentioned about how Celtic fans have got a different mentality for a lot of other fans. We have an expectation of a certain way of playing. That's why we all kind of want certain managers to come in and stuff. You know, you look at, for instance, there's people talking about how Steve Clark could be our next manager. I would imagine 99% of Celtic fans are against that because of how Scotland play, right?
I would have worked.
And Aye, it wouldn't happen though, because Steve Clark, when he came in and play that way, you just couldn't play that way as a Celtic manager. But we're looking at the kind of the way Steve Clark has played. He's probably had to play that way for Scotland a lot of the time because of the opposition have been better than us, right? But a guy like Nygren, I reckon Rangers fans would absolutely fucking adore Nygren because they don't have that. They don't have that like us. You know what I mean? And it's just a different kind of mentality. I don't know where it's came from. I don't know how it's happened, but it's definitely something. Like I said, if we had Tavernier, we would absolutely adore Tavernier. Even now, mate, we would adore Tavernier. And I don't know. It's just a different way of thinking in that. And I think, see Nygren, I wonder if he is pissed off because there's no way these guys don't watch podcasts and don't watch social media and don't read articles and all that. And Nygren will know that the Celtic fans, although they appreciate him, they maybe don't appreciate him to the extent that other players have been appreciated or players even currently are appreciated in that. And I think that he may be thinking, man, what the fuck do you want from me, man? We're playing in a pure shite team this year and I've got 20 odd goals. You know what I mean? How can I please these cunts? That's how I feel. I kind of feel as if he'll maybe thinking that. And I think it'll be a shame because I think he's a lot harder to replace than an Engels, a lot harder to replace than a Hatate or even maybe no Maida. But well, even Maida this year, obviously Maida this year. No, Nygren will be harder to replace than Maida if they both of them go.
I do get what you mean, but it's like you said it as well, like expectations. It's like people have got these certain expectations. Rogic, like you're saying, he didn't play the full 90 minutes, but sometimes in the 50 minutes or 60 minutes that he played, he done a lot, and it just seems like sometimes Nygren doesn't. It's like sometimes he can go missing in a game, or he might score and you don't see him for the rest of the game. It's like even if Rogic didn't score, he was pinging balls left, right, and centre. He was trying to go on a run. I know he was all that. We were using Rogic because obviously the pace aspect and all that, and they don't really
Similar
have
position and
that
stuff.
stamina. Aye, similar position and that. But I just feel that Rogic on his day, he didn't need to run, and I feel that if Nygren on his day didn't run, he goes missing. If you know what I mean. Like Rogic could just stand in the middle of the pitch and just ping the balls left, right, and centre. Even take shots from outside the box because he was famous for that as well. So I just don't think Nygren would be that type of player. And it see if he was that type of player, then after I would let him away with not the pressing and the tracking back type of thing because you'd be like, right, he just doesn't have the pace. It was the same with Aaron Moy. Aaron Moy didn't have it, but he was able to ping the balls. Some of the passing he done was beautiful. So I think he's the best comparison, Rogic, but he's far below Rogic in my opinion.
Aye, technically wise he is. Aye, technically wise, Rogic was a better player. You think of other players in that position, and we've been spoiled over the years, mate. You know what I mean? It's like
Aye.
Lubo, fuck's sake. We had Lubo in that position for a long time. Eh?
He was the same. He didn't
Aye.
have that pace, but he'd still done these stupid runs for every now and then. So
Even Petrov was in that position. So I think in more recent times, because it is more kind of a recent number 10 thing anyway, isn't it, really?
same
But
Maloney to an extent.
aye, Maloney, I know,
Maybe
aye.
second time round, he done that type of role. It was like you said, we have been spoiled, so maybe comparing them with all the type of players is kind of unfair on them. But it's just that's how we get the expectations because we've had so many good players in certain positions that we're like, right, it has to be like for like because we're still waiting on the replacement for Kyogo. I mean, every single striker that we're comparing is that is he good enough? Would he be in front of Kyogo if he was in the team like Angie's team? None of our strikers now would. But that's what I mean. Is like we compare and do. It needs to be like for like or better. If it goes below, then we end up in the position we are this season.
See that Kyogo thing, by the way, the people going about how he's no replaced Kyogo. We have replaced Kyogo. Well, we tried to replace Kyogo, and that was with Adamida.
But
You know what I mean?
Adam
That's how the board will justify that though. If you sat down with the board and you
Aye.
went, you fucking haven't replaced Kyogo, the first thing you'd say is we spent £9.5 million on Adam Ida.
I didn't
You know what I
mind
mean?
Adam Ida. I still think Adam Ida got the rough end of the stick, but I think that was just because we were used to a striker, that poacher, always in the box. Adam Ida wasn't that type of player. Adam Ida was more. I don't know how you describe him, but he wasn't a Kyogo type player, and that's what we were still looking for. And I think that's why loads of people didn't rate him, because I'm like, he was on the bench most of the time, he still was able to score 20 goals. Like, he's got the same amount of goals as Nygren's got off the bench. That's still an alright return. So like, I thought he was a wee bit hard done by, but he wasn't Kyogo, so we were just like getting to fuck, just try to find a Kyogo or better. I'm still looking for it.
Yeah, but I think we got that one right, wrong way. I think he was the sort of player that would, look good coming off the bench and that, but he wasn't a starter, man. He wasn't he'd be a different type of player to be a starter for Celtic. I don't think Adam Ida was up to it, man. Proved that he's doing his wonders when he can get a game, so. But let's get back to the game, mate. We've kind of delved away from that there a wee bit, you know what I mean? We're on a tangent there, didn't we? But so do you think the Hibs will be upset after what happened last week, and do you think that they will try and be out for a bit of revenge against no revenge, but like try and turn the tables on how things went last week?
I think so, because obviously we spoke about it in off the underside and stuff like that. Edinburgh derby was the biggest derby of recent times, just because of what was at stake. If Hibs won, they've put a massive dent into Hearts' title challenge, but they didn't. They ended up fucking it up for themselves by getting the goalkeeper sent off, and that was it the defender who got sent off, but it was a terrible challenge anyway.
Midfielder, I think, wasn't
Midfielder. It was a terrible challenge, but I think they can take some sort of positives because they played all right, even with 10 men. They still made it difficult for Hearts. So I think they would be gutted and disappointed, but I think they would just be like, see certain aspects of that game. Let's just keep going at that, and we could probably cause Celtic some trouble.
That game was kind of summed up. I remember watching a game years ago, right, and it was actually a woman that said it on the. I said that like it was like surprising.
A woman?
It's actually a woman. It's a woman said this. Said something sensible. Uh,
Catchy, didn't it?
it was that. I can't even remember her name, mate. She's on Sky and that now and again. I think it's Karen something.
That the one with the short hair?
Has she got short hair? No, she's not got short hair, no. Karen something. Can't remember her second name, right? But she said the most difficult thing in football is scoring a goal. She's like, it's easy to be to be defender, and especially balls getting put in your box and stuff like that. And it's much harder to be the team that's gone for it. That's why when people go down to 10 men and that, sometimes the team will struggle because the defence can just, that's their job now. That's all they need to focus on. They don't need to think about getting forward. They don't need to think about trying to get any channels and stuff like that. It's just getting the ball out the box and stopping the ball from in the back of the net. And I think that was a perfect example of what happened on Sunday, because when Hibs went down to 10 men, all right, Hearts were knocking on the door and all that. I'm not so sure if Hearts would have won that game if it had stayed at 10 men.
Nah.
When it went to 9, there was much more space. There was much more kind of type. But even at that, man, Hibs defended well. The two centre halves are really good, and it was just simple for them. Sometimes just Hearts were trying to knock on the door and trying to score the goals, getting the ball into the box, and it's just so hard when you're up against the defence and a goalkeeper on that. But obviously, we know Hearts did end up getting the job done in that. But I think a lot of credit needs to go to Hibs for Sunday for even keeping it down to 2-1.
Aye, definitely. Because if you seen it on paper, you would think Hearts were just pish. But watching the highlights, I only got to see the highlights, but Hibs looked really good. Like, especially, with 11 men, they looked really up for it. With 10 men, they still kind of looked up for it. But like you said, 9 men, it was just too much for them. But I agree with you. Certain aspects of that game, I'm like, that's going to cause us a few troubles. But I think I don't know if it's Nicky or Chris Cadden. I think see some of his crossing, it's going to cause us all sorts of problems.
When Nicky Cadden, he came off early in that game.
Aye,
And the commentator did say that they're going to miss his distribution, you know what I mean? Because he's classy getting the ball into the box. He's got a great cross from him.
aye, definitely. And there's a few players like obviously Martin Boyle. He's still thereabouts. He's
Still
still
got the
doing
pace,
good.
still got the pace,
Aye,
which
still got
causes
it.
us trouble.
Aye, and we our two centre backs that we've got could cause all sorts of problems. So aye, it's not going to be a gimme. But I'm more. I would say 65-35 Celtic.
65. I've got a feeling I think we're going to do them. But I say that every week, to be fair. But
One day it'll pay off.
one
One
day,
day
it's
it'll pay off.
one day, we're not in there. No, I just feel I feel we might get a few goals on Sunday. Actually, I feel
Who
we
do
might
you
win.
start up front?
I would start to next
Aye,
day. I would start to next to Yang and Maida. That to me, that is the front three. Any actual can't get fit. There's no point. There's no point even him bringing him into the conversation anymore. He's not getting fit for these next 5 games. He's not starting any of the 5 games. I would be shocked if I seen Ian Atchell in the starting lineup for any of these games. I think Martin O'Neill's pretty much said it that Ian Atchell just can't get fit. So
yeah.
I think it's always going to be Maida starting there. I think Martin's seen enough as Fee and Chara, but it looks at. He's seen enough of Adamu, he's seen enough of Nvuku, he's seen enough of Balashawi. All these guys will only be in the picture for the rest of the season. I don't think. I believe now that it's between Ian Atchell and Maida to be strikers. It's between Forrest and Yang on the right, and it's between Tenecti and who else is checking it? Maida again. Aye. I think it's between all them, mate. I don't think anybody else will come into the equation now. And I think that quite rightly so, mate, because your guys like Svi and Chara and Adamu, they didn't take their opportunity. They just
No,
didn't.
I
You know what
know
I
they
mean?
had
I think
enough opportunities.
they did, mate. Especially Svi and Chara, man. He was playing in games where, you know, you're screaming out for Ian actually, you're screaming out for Maida and that, and he just went with Svi and Chara and he still wasn't doing it. So
Yeah.
I think the best front three who are fit are Yang, uh, Maida and Tenecti. And as much as I love Forrest, I think he's better off coming off the bench. I really do.
See, even just saying that that's our best front three, that's kind of worrying, isn't it? Just it's like a massive downgrade for even like 2 year ago because you had like Kuhn, you had that. You could even put Adam Reid in there. Like, it was more an out and out striker, and you had the left. You had Jota and stuff like that. That's I don't know. It's just heartbreaking a wee bit when we're like, this is our best 11. Every time I see it, I'm just like, that's nowhere near good enough, man.
I know, mate. I know. I'm sure there was.
Especially
I'm trying to think who the team was when we played. Was Jota back by then? Was Jota and Kuhn in the same team, or was Kuhn away by then?
no, Jota and Kuhn were in the same team because I
And,
think we got Jota in the January, and that's when Kuhn was kind of on the ropes. It was before the Bayern Munich game, anyway.
was there ever a time where Jota and Kuhn were in the same team
Together
and on form?
on form, I'm not too
Like,
sure.
we know Kuhn had that amazing season and that, so was
I'm not
that
too sure.
Jota?
I'm thinking, see the game that Jota scored against Motherwell. I think Kuhn was playing then, but I don't know if
Yeah.
Kuhn was on form then.
Hmm. Hard
Because
to
I think
remember.
that.
They're just kind of quantity
Aye,
things, didn't they?
aye. Yeah, but that seems like a lifetime ago. I mean,
Well, put it this
just
way,
because
it's only a few years ago we had Jota, Kyogo, and Abada.
fucking die.
Or Maida, Jota, and Kyogo.
Or
You know,
instead of Kyogo, you had Yakimakis.
Yakimaki was a good player for Celtic. I think he was kind of in a similar bracket to Adam Ida, though. To be honest, mate, I think he's a wee bit
I like
overrated.
him.
Uh,
I really liked him, man. I thought
he's
just
good,
because
mate, but he never established himself.
I just like the aspect that you had this pacey, like whip it type of thing, and then you just had a boy who was just
Aye.
strong and knew where the goal was, and I like that kind of contrast. Like if Kyogo was struggling because of pace, that the defenders were just too much. I like the fact we could bring on the striker that was up for a challenge type of thing, and he still he scored a few goals for us. So, but that Andrew's team is still the most exciting team ever because the backups we had unbelievable. He made players like Ralston and stuff like that incredible, but sad times.
See, you think about it, mate, right? Now, Brendan Rodgers was at Celtic what for 2 years there.
Mhm.
Is there a player that he brought in that is like fucking non-negotiable starter now? Benjamin Nygren and Ali Engels. But apart from that,
Nah.
Alistair Johnson was Ange, Carter Vickers was Ange, Scales was Ange. I'm not saying that Scales are not even
Tierney?
non-negotiable.
Tierney?
Tierney brought back, it was a bit of a fucking no-brainer though, wasn't it? You know what I mean? But
Sriracha, maybe.
who?
Sriracha,
And
maybe.
actually, but he doesn't play, so it's
Mm.
you know
Aye.
he's brought in. Was it Ange that brought in Paulo Balado?
Aye.
Aye, and then was it Rogers that signed him, wasn't
Aye, because
it?
it
Aye.
was we had him on loan. No, we signed Bernardo and Anges last season, I'm sure.
Was it?
Aye, because we had him on loan, then we signed him. But I think it was maybe the same one as like Carter Vickers and Jota signing,
Mm. Who
roughly.
signed Yang? Was that Rogers? So I can't remember, man. It's shocking.
So I don't I think that may have, I think he's been here quite a while, by the way. I'm not
No,
too sure. I
was he on Rogers' first season? Did
think
Tino
so.
sign Rogers in his first summer?
Think
Did
so, but
Rogers
he
no
never
sign him in
really
his first
played.
summer? I
I
think
think
he
so.
did, man. I don't think Yang was at. I don't think Yang was at Celtic or Andrews there.
Mm. But I was
Um,
seeing something yesterday, just because we were talking about Ange. We had a transfer deadline day. It was in January. We got Carter Vickers, Yakimakis, and Jota.
you know,
That's fucking brilliant. Like,
uh,
even at the time, we were like, who the fuck are these cunts? And then they just ended up being great. But two of them, especially, have been outstanding. The other one was quite good, but
I was just fucking sitting at work the other day, man. Actually, just daydreaming about Cameron Carter Vickers. I was. I was just like, pure. How good is he, man? Just an absolute Rolls Royce if it were a player. So he is. I mean, it's Tottenham fans. See if they'd have kept him, man, they'd be staying up. Idiots. You know what I mean? Absolute idiots, man. Tottenham, everything they've ever done over the past 4 or 5 years. In fact, everything they've done over the past 30 years has been an absolute joke. And they deserve everything they get this season, man. Honestly. If you were to mention Carter Vickers to a Tottenham fan, they'd laugh at you. But I'm telling you now, man, that guy could easily get in the top 6 in England. You're telling me that Carter Vickers isn't any better than, like, Mark Gee? Of course he is. He is, man. He is, mate. He is. I'm not saying that these guys are only decent players in that, and there's better players than Carter Vickers, centre half still in England. For instance, like Ruben Diaz or whatever, right? But see, like Mark Gay, for me, Carter Vickers is on the level playing field with him, man. He's better, I think.
See in my head, like, see if he went to an Aston Villa, I think he
Aye.
would do real well. I think he would
Aye,
do
but
real well.
I could see him at a Man City, I could see him at Liverpool. It's not going to happen because
I don't think so.
I don't think anybody would take him, like, for Celtic to there because, what is he now, 28, 29, Carter Vickers?
27, I think.
27. I
Uh,
don't think he's saying that he could go down to England and kind of go back up the way again, but I think he's underrated, man. He's amazing. It's a shame he is a bit injury prone though. See, since he's been out, man, I remember how that happened. That was the very last kick of a ball against somebody. I can't remember who it was. Was it Roma or something? And he
aye,
sat,
I remember.
uh,
He just sat down.
he just sat
He
down,
did
and
get
I'm
back.
like, surely God, this isn't that bad because it was nothing. And it's
Aye.
just been out ever since, man. Do you know what I mean?
It was
And
the
that's
same
just the
with
type of.
it was the same with Johnson. See, when it was a qualifier, he didn't do much. I know he was injured beforehand, but he didn't do much to actually get the injury, and then he had to get surgery and all that stuff. So, because that was when I was like worried about not the player's fitness, but it's like the doctors and all that. Like, why would you say that he's okay to play? I know if all players are, as soon as they can kick a ball, they're like, oh, I want to play. But surely you have to do like your checks on your actual players and say, in fact, you're not. Maybe you're all right
Oh, you
for
talking
10,
about when he
15
came
minutes.
back?
Aye. In
Right.
the qualifier, I just remember I think he punted the ball and he just lay down and was holding his leg. And I'm like, he's fucked.
Mm.
And after we never seen him since until obviously last weekend.
But I,
I
so
like
it's
that we're
as
going
a.
on tangents here.
I know it's good, isn't it,
I
man? It's good.
like
I hope you're enjoying it at home. I hope you're enjoying
Aye.
the kind of the tangents we're going off on, because that's just what it's all about, isn't it? Rifting with this kind of thing. But I'm sure people do want to know our thoughts on this weekend. But like, do you know what I talk? Do you know what I want to talk a wee bit about? Because I was listening to a podcast this morning, and if anybody hasn't watched it, I like recommending podcasts to people because this is what I enjoy listening to and stuff. And I'm no a rival. It's no a rival or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I don't give a fuck. Listen to a podcast called Fog Football, right? It's just a couple of guys. They don't even show their faces anymore. They used to do live years ago and all that, but it's just a video and it's just like an audio on here, right? So it's probably on Spotify and all that as well. But I just listen to them on YouTube and that, and they were making good points, man. This morning I was listening. One of them was getting really angry,
Mm.
because they were talking about manager of the year, right? Now he'd put this boy had put like a tweet out or something, and it was all Celtic fans all giving it. Martin O'Neill should be manager of the year. Martin O'Neill should be manager of the year, and he got frustrated, and I don't blame him, man, because it's like when you're the Celtic manager, right? You're expected to win a league. You've got the
Mm.
biggest budget now. You've got the biggest budget in the country and all that, right? So his argument was like Celtic and Martin O'Neill and all the other managers this season for Celtic are underachieving because they've not been top of the league since day one, right? For fucking back whenever it was, August, right? So when there's people moaning about how Martin O'Neill's not in there, you know, it's like John McGlynn is in there because he's overachieved with Falkirk. Um, who else? Who else is in there? Derek McInnes because he's overachieved at Hearts, and it's a
Can't
good
remember
point,
what
man.
I
But
felt. Aye.
eh,
Oh, it's then house more. Aye, they
Derek,
overachieved because I don't think they're expected to do so well in the league.
aye, and I don't know. I just feel that as much as I love Martin O'Neill, as much as I love Celtic and all this, even if Martin O'Neill goes on to win the double, I would probably say that it's no him. I'd probably
Mm.
say he's not. He shouldn't even be in the running. But this is the argument as well: is why the hell is these things happening when you've got 4 games to go in a league? You know, what if, for instance, Diza Maida goes on and scores 10, 12 goals in the next 4 games
I know.
and wins us the
I
league?
get what you mean. I get what
You
you
know what I
mean.
mean? Or
Yeah,
what
I
happens?
get what
What
you
happens
mean.
if Braga goes on and scores, or Shankland goes on and scores that amount of goals? And
Mm.
it's just annoying, man. It's like,
I don't get why it is so early, but I've see the play of the year. Because I've heard something. I can't remember if it was in a podcast, but supposedly it's all political the way they vote because it's the players that vote for the play of the year.
uh,
And they so some of them are like, I'm not voting. Like Celtic would be like, I'm not voting for any of the Rangers players, and then after the Rangers would be vice versa. So I don't. It kind of ruins that for me. I kind of like it when it's the Scottish writers play of the year because they've all came together and collectively said no, it should be him or it should be him, and that's usually the late of the year. That's the one I
yeah.
would actually take as actual bit of pride because I'm like they people are watching football all day every day. You know what I mean, so.
hmm Well, they have done it. They have done it. The managerial and the players. Who would you say is the manager of the year right now? Who out of them that's going to be in it, and who's the player of the year?
My manager year's not even in the running for it.
Aye, but I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about the
For
ones that.
the ones that are in the running, I would say John McGlynn. I would say John McGlynn.
I take it your
No,
manager of the year's Askew.
I ask you my personal one, but the one that's in the running, I would say John McGlynn. I thought they would do well, but I didn't expect them to do as well as they actually have done.
Did you called it, mate? You did call it before.
But I was expecting eighth, but that's a class season for them, eighth. But I
Mm.
didn't expect them to be in the top six. But I in my player of the year, just maybe. I like that. Just I
Means
think
that's-
there's something about him. I just think he's a cracking player and he's only going to get better.
Mine's are two different ones. My player of the year, my manager of the year is Derek McInnes. Overachieved with Hearts all season. We're in May. They're still top of the league. It's unbelievable. And my player of the year is Braga. I think he's been outstanding all season. He's not even took a dip in form, really, Braga. He's had a couple of off games, but he's not really took a dip like Kyrgios has took a dip for Hearts and that. I think that Braga's been quite consistent this season.
Aye, I kind of disagree with him because you can't argue with facts. I mean, that they have had an amazing season, the pair of them, but I just think Ashford because he's got a lesser budget than Hearts do. And then after he's made Stephen O'Donnell and fucking Paul McGinn look fucking world beaters, and I'm like, that's why I'm surprised he wasn't even in the running for it. But I think it would go to McInnes and Braga, to be perfectly honest.
Now, let's finish up by talking about this point. I mean, I done a video last week about Robbie Keane. I think he's going to be the next Celtic manager. Scott Brown has come out today, or whatever day it was. He was on Jackie McNamara and Simon Donnelly's podcast, kind of playing it down, saying he was only over there for the ND's football license, FIFA license thing, and Johnny Hayes went over him and all that. It was just to experience a different culture, experience a different country and stuff, football wise. And I said in the video, I really don't think that Scott Brown would admit it, even if it was true. He's not going to come out and say, "Aye, okay, there's truth in that" or whatever. But I know that you'll know, mate. But as the days go on, we're being linked with different players now and stuff like that. We're being, the Brian Wilson has come out the other day talking about how the fans are going to get more involved. They're going to kind of welcome them into certain aspects of the club again and stuff like that. And I just feel with certain decisions being made over the last few weeks, it just screams out to me there's a new manager. I don't know if you've changed your mind on this or it was a week ago, but it just screams out to me a new manager. It screams out to me that there's something in place, and then the whole going to meet Robbie Keane thing and all that, man, it just Liam Scale signing a 4-year contract when he's Irish. I know maybe I'm just looking far too much into it. Scott Brown coming out with a vultures comment and stuff like that, trying to appease the board, and I just feel that everything is just kind of clicking into place, like what's going to happen next season. I mean, I don't know if you've changed your mind on this.
Nah.
No,
No,
no.
I just feel that I don't know. I just feel that it would be mental for a manager who's not technically signed on the dotted line to make decisions at a club that he's technically not employed at. I
But
mean,
sure, is it any more mental than the club making decisions of giving people 4-year contracts with an option to extend that?
that
And I know
wouldn't be.
you're saying about the value of the player last week and all that, but there's no value in name scales.
I'm meaning that would make more sense for me because they're in the club. They're at the club. You know what I mean? Like they're around these
But
certain players, so they're making
but
they're probably making decisions because like you heard Brendan Rodgers say at the start of the season, there's certain things like club signings. Like he doesn't know all the signings that's coming in. He has to sign them off, but he's not 100% sure who they all are. And I
but that's the
think
thing, signing them off though. That's the
I
thing.
but I think any club or every club still do like club-ish signings because I think like look at Hearts, Josh McPake. I think he's a really good player, but I don't really think he would be on top of Dent McInnes' wish list.
No,
I
no,
think
that's
I think Hearts have seen young Scottish, bring him in. Even without Dent McInnes, they might have said, "Do you think he's alright? He's a good player, bring him in." And I think
but
sometimes boards.
that's the thing. That's it though. That thing you just said though. That conversation happened. That will happen. Who they've identified Josh McPake, and I agree with you. They've maybe tried to say to Derek McInnes, right, this will be a good young Scottish player, bring him in, it'll be Ben. And Derek McInnes has ultimately went, aye, that's fine. But I've seen it happen a million times over the years, mate, and I agree with you that clubs can make decisions within the club and all that when they've not got a manager, right? But 4-year deals
I know.
with guys
I
who the fans aren't convinced with. It's like I'm trying to think of an analogy like outside of football, but I'm struggling to. But like It makes absolutely no sense why you would
But
give Liam Scales that contract when a manager could come in and go, I don't want him.
I know, but that's what I was saying. Like, if they've gave him a 4 year option of another year, which is still fucking bananas to me. But if the manager does say, nah, he's shite, get him to fuck, Celtic are going to get a bit of penny because obviously he's got a big contract instead of having just 2 years. I'm not saying it's right. I think it's still fucking wild, but I think
I,
that's what the board have thought.
you
I
honestly
think that's
think
what.
that some, but what do you mean by that though? Because we're not talking here about like a real asset of a player though. You know what I mean? How
No,
much
no.
would we get for Liam Scales?
No, I think realistically, you would get about 4, 5 million,
And how much do you think would I go up before he signed his 4 year deal?
about 2.5.
That's a hell of a gamble to make, mate. That's a hell of a gamble to make.
But that's what I think, because I think there's some players, if you see them in other clubs, they're like, why are you getting contract extensions when you're pish? And then after it's like, because they know if Scales was on the, just say he's on the transfer market before he signed this new contract, if the like he's 5 million, they'll tell Celtic to fuck off. But if they gave him a new deal, better money, all that sort of stuff, then after the value of him will obviously get greater because obviously he's got a better contract. And I still do believe that they've gave him an aspect to the contract because he's marketable, because he's Irish, because he's a Celtic fan. Same with Luke McCown, he's one of us. Get him on the new home kit, get him on the advert, everybody will love it. I still think there's that aspect to it as well.
There probably
Might
is.
might be a small aspect, but I think they've done it a lot previously, and I think they still try to do it. They still try and have like poster boys, like, oh, look at Liam Scales, he's Irish, or he played in Shamrock Rovers and all that. Oh, fucking basically Celtic over in Ireland, now he's came over here and played with us. Oh, how great is this? Oh, look, McCown, he was fucking in the lower leagues and all that, and he's finally got his dream move to Celtic. How good's that? They always try to find something in the market. It's the same with Kieran Tierney. They market him as one of the poster boys as well. Oh, he went down in the bright lights of London, now he's all the way back up to Glasgow. It doesn't work. It doesn't necessarily work, but I get why they do it. They think somebody's going to look at that, some fans going to look at that and be like, oh, it's fucking great. There's a Kieran Tierney t-shirt with some fucking shit on it. There's 20 quid. Same with Liam Scales. There's a fucking Irish thing with him fucking draped all on it. There's another fucking 50 quid.
Aye,
You know
there's
what I
no
mean?
doubt. But that's what people do. You know, it's not just Celtic who do that. Clubs in
No, no,
general.
but I think
But
that's just an aspect of where the confusion is. But I think that's a part of it. I think it's just that they're marketable more than they're actual good, decent players.
I just think it's like an absolute gamble to make. Because what happens if you well, what's happened, right? So what happens though? Liam Scales signs a 4 year deal, and the next manager comes in and goes, I don't want Liam Scales, right? And then Celtic go, that's all right. You know, we'll give them a contract here so that we'll get a wee bit extra dough for him. What happens if nobody comes in for him? What happens if nobody wants to pay 4 or 5 million for Liam Scales, which is entirely possible? You
Waste
know
of
what I mean?
money.
It's like,
Happened
well,
a
exactly.
lot. I,
Exactly.
but like you said, it's happened a lot. Like we've gave people contracts and the next managers came in, but he's dubbed me. I'm not playing him.
Exactly. So I mean, I could understand. I can totally understand getting Forrest a 1 year extension.
Aye, aye,
I
aye,
could
aye.
get that because Celtic probably in their mind, mate, have probably thought down the road with James Forrest and thought, you know what, get another year out of him and we'll give him a coaching role, just like they've gave Johnny Hayes, just like they've gave Sean Maloney, just like they gave John Kennedy, just like they gave Stephen McManus, all that stuff. They're probably looking down that road with James Forrest as well. Give him a
And
wee
I
bit
don't.
of, you know, eh?
I was just saying, and I don't mind that aspect.
Aye.
I don't mind that.
I know, and that makes sense. That's not a gamble giving him that. Even if the new manager came in and went, I don't want to play him, right? That's not a gamble giving James Forrest that. It's a huge gamble giving Luke McCown a couple of years and a huge gamble giving fucking Liam Scales 4 year.
Aye.
That's why I'm for my sanity, Corey. For my sanity, I've got to go down the road of there's a manager there saying aye. I cannot think outside the box. See if I thought like you, man, I'd go insane. because I just cannot think that makes any logical sense.
Cheers,
What's
mate.
I just can't get it in my head, mate, how it makes any logical sense. I know what you're saying, but even what you're saying, right, it still doesn't outweigh the madness of that if that was the
I know.
case.
The,
You
the
know,
thing is, like, I totally get your logic. I can see it. I can see what you're thinking, but I just don't think it's that black and white. To be honest, I think with the rumours with Robbie Keane, it's going to be Scott Brown and all that. I said to you, like, that's all yes men. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but I wouldn't be happy if it was the case, because I don't feel like Robbie Keane's going to come in here like, right, I'm fucking shit up. I'm going to change. I'm going to make a massive like a massive impact in this club. He's not. He's going to just get told this is the players you're signing. Blah blah blah. From my perspective, I feel that way. I feel Askew, it would be a bit different because he's had it his own way in Motherwell, and also he's played in the league. He's managed in the league. He knows what to expect. He knows the physicality. He knows the players they bring in. He's going to get the biggest budget in the country. I think that's less of a risk than getting somebody like Robbie Keane and Scott Brown to kind of mentor him into the job eventually. That shit doesn't fucking wash with me. I'd rather get somebody of high quality.
see, I was going to wrap up there, right, but I actually want to talk about this because you're I don't what's the word. You're not annoying me or you're not riling me or anything. It's just what you're talking about is
Sense.
getting what?
Sense.
No, it's doing something to me. Like I don't know what I try to think of the word. I'm
Struck a chord with you.
struck a chord with me, right? Like, what do you mean? I want do me a favour and explain to me what you mean by yes, man.
It's pretty much what the board does. He'll say yes.
Right, so is that no every manager though?
Well, look at Ange. There was, I think it was Carter Vickers. He wanted to sign. He told Don Mackay. Don Mackay said the Desmond's, and Desmond's like, nah, I don't want to play that amount of transfer. It was a loan fee and the wages. He's like, I don't want to pay that. Don Mackay supposedly, this is all supposedly, went ahead because Andrew's that passionate. Like, no, I need this player. I need him, and he signed on the dotted line, got the deal done, and that was meant to be the final nail in the coffin for Don Mackay. So Ange went against the chairman, pretty much the chief executive, the man who's got the most shares. But no, I need this player. I feel that if Robbie Keane was there, and Robbie Keane says, right, I've got this striker, £6 million, I want him. Desmond says no. He'll be like, okay. And they'll be like, I've got a striker in Ireland, 2 grand. Take him. He's better. He's up and coming. Okay. That's what I mean. I feel like Robbie Keane and Scott Brown would just, it feels like a pure pals act in the same sense as well. Like, they won't really have authority. It'll be like the board making certain decisions, and you can tell it's the board, not really Robbie Keane. But I feel Askew's got a bit of bottle about him, who might stand up and say, no, I need these players, in the same sense as Ange did. You get what I mean?
Aye, I do get what you mean, but I mean,
I'm not wanting the manager to come in and start doing like Stone Cold Steve Austin, fuck authority type thing. I want them to come in and just do, right, I'm going to try the best I want that I feel for the club, but I feel the board tries to keep their assets, don't spend too much money, fucking keep it. I mean, they don't want to push the boat,
right, right.
and I feel like you need a manager who will push the boat a wee bit, because like we've said it for years, like we wanted the progression in Europe. We wanted to stroll leagues. We want this because that's our expectation. Because we have been strolling leagues, so like the next one is progression in Europe, and the progression in Europe takes money and a bit of bottle. As a manager, my Andrew's the closest I've felt that would have pushed the boat and had the bottle to take us into Europe. And I think Askew's in the same level. to a sense.
Aye. When it comes to the yes man thing, right? I do know where you're coming from, but I think what you're basically trying to say is you want somebody to come in, and then when it comes to transfers and stuff like that, you want them to force the issue by saying, I want this player, and Dermot Desmond goes, no, I'd rather this player, and then you want your manager to go, no, but this is why I want this player. We really
Aye.
you want them to force the issue, and you think that a Robbie Keane would come in and just be like, right, okay, fair enough, I'll accept that. But the thing is, see, before all these managers start, obviously there's loads of conversations that go on beforehand. So Robbie Keane and it's like Brendan Rodgers. When they come in, there's no doubt in my mind. We all know what happens in these meetings beforehand, right? Dermot Desmond and the board are sitting down and going, we don't spend beyond our means. We try and bring in players for cheap. We'll try and progress them, make them better. Try and win the Scottish League, try and do well in Scotland. Europe's a bonus. And then we'll try and sell them on, right? So see if you go down the road of being a Robbie Keane and you accept that job and you accept how things are. Because I heard down the line, I've heard Brendan Rodgers talk about it. I've heard Martin O'Neill talk about it, over the last few months, when we played in Europe. He's like, well, we know where we are. We know where we are, right? And then I've even heard Ange talk about it back in the day and stuff like that. I think the only argument, so Robbie Keane comes in and goes, right, I'll accept that. Then a couple of months down the line, we're dying out for a striker, and Robbie Keane's identified somebody he really wants. All Dermot Desmond had to say is, listen, what was agreed here. What was agreed was, if it's a £6 million player, but we feel we can get the similar type of player or a wee bit less for £3 million, who we feel can do the same type of job, we're going down the £3 million road. And
But that's what I mean. Like, we've went down that route before, and it's not worked. Like, look at John McGinn. It was 500 grand a difference. And John McGinn, I know people have had the argument, would have actually got into the squad, but I think he would have been a bit, at least a good asset to the club. Again, marketable because he's a Celtic player, a Celtic fan, sorry. But if Scott Brown was injured one game and John McGinn at that time was playing, I think that would have been like a brilliant like for like swap. But we went down that route. No, he's too dear and missed out pretty much. And it's happened a few times. As we want 7 million, so to put in a bid for 3. But what you doing? If we've got the money there, I get what you're saying. Like stay within your means, but our means are quite great. So he's doing the 3 million, £2 million. It doesn't really get you amazing players. You do need to push the boat out and spend that extra bit of penny.
I know that, and you know that, right? And they know that and all. But all I'm saying is, if Robbie Keane tried to push against that, if Robbie Keane's the next manager and he accepts the job and he's been told all the details, and then the first transfer window or January he turns around and goes, no, I want to spend this. All Dermot Desmond has to turn around and goes, listen, remember what we fucking agreed here. This is what's happening. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I get the whole yes man argument and stuff and this and that, but I mean, once an agreement's put in place and that, it's hard to you can't turn around to Brendan Rodgers after 6 months and go, like, I know I agreed fucking the contract at the start of the season, how, we're going to identify players that were cheaper and all that and sell them on, but I want that £8 million striker. You know what I mean?
I do get that.
And if he doesn't force that, does it make him a yes man? I don't know if it does.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, see that conversation you're saying at the start with this hypothetical contract.
That's where you want to have it.
I'm like, that shouldn't be in the conversation. Like, see if the manager feels this is the right player, it's within our means, spend it. See if he's saying I want to get fucking the striker for Arsenal, you're like, right, you've lost your marbles, you're not going to get that player. But if you find somebody, don't know.
Like Ivan Toney, for instance, remember Ivan Toney? We went to him and he came up and he fucking spoke to Neil Lennon and everything.
Aye.
I was at Ange. Can't remember one.
Aye, it was Lennon. He said he was pretty much in Celtic Park ready to sign, and they were like, no, sorry, go down the road. because if they don't want it, that's why it feels like. People were saying that the argument at the start of the season that you are spending money, but it's like we're not spending the money for quality players. I mean, we're spending money for this might turn out all right. This might turn out all right, and the way transfer markets are nowadays, the fees are mental. The fees are mental. So see what we thought we could get for a £3 million player. That's like an £1 million player nowadays. You need to, you know what I mean? They need. That's why the people are saying the board are dinosaurs because they still feel like it's the transfer window of like 20 years ago. There was 2 £3 million players were amazing in Scotland. 2 £3 million players could be duds in Scotland. Well, look, we spent 9 million. I know that probably counteracted my fucking argument. We spent 9 million and it's a dud, but 9 million is still not a lot of money in transfer markets. I mean,
No, but it needs to be the right players as well. But that's a
they need to be scouted properly. They don't, but they shouldn't just have the whole the Irish and the Celtic fans all do they know the city. That pish doesn't wash. We need to have the best quality players we could possibly afford within our means. That's all Celtic. Well, I believe that Celtic fans want. They just want out to go out there, find the best player we could possibly get and get them. Not do he's a wee bit too dear. Go for this option because it always feels like we're getting the second or third option. And
yeah.
they're never really turning out the way we want them.
Aye, I know what you're saying, mate. I know what you're saying, but we'll argue about this another day, I'm sure.
Aye,
Before we go,
definitely.
mate, back to the game this weekend. Last question. What's the score going to be?
2-0 Celtic.
3-1 Celtic for me. Comfortable away day. We will go. Does that take us top of the league if anyone points finding it?
No, because of the goal difference
Goal
is that great.
difference. But we will win 3-1. Rangers and Hearts will finish one each. And
We'll be a point behind them.
we'll be a point behind them. And then we'll go into the following weeks and that. But anyway, hope you have enjoyed this exciting podcast this tonight. It's been very good. I'd enjoy watching this if I was a viewer.
Aye.
So
I'm surprised it's an hour and all. It didn't feel that long.
if you've enjoyed it, guys, put your comments down below, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Hopefully soon we'll be getting some guests on. We're trying to go down that road, getting some former Celtic players on the podcast and podcasters and all that kind of stuff. So plenty of Celtic stuff to come your way, right in the middle of a good, exciting title running. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. And Corey, speak to you soon, mate. Hail, hail, everybody.
Hail, catch you.